So let's take a look at ethyl acetate, the ester found in beer in greatest concentrations. Ethyl acetate is found in all beers. It imparts a solvent-like character. It reminds many people of the smell of nail varnish or nail varnish remover. And that's because you find ethyl acetate both in nail varnish and in nail varnish remover. But in the case of beer, ethyl acetate is produced by yeast during the fermentation. The amount of ethyl acetate produced depends on the yeast strain. Some yeast strains produce only a small amount of this compound, other strains produce a lot. But the second influence is the fermentation conditions. The warmer the fermentation temperature, the more ethyl acetate will produce. The cooler the fermentation temperature, the less ethyl acetate will produce. This flavour is very important to control in terms of the estery character of beer. So the solvent and fruity characters coming from so-called esters that determine how aromatic is the beer. And some beers depend on ethyl acetate to give their aromatic properties. For example, strong ales, barley wines for example, Belgian golden ales need a lot of ethyl acetate to give their flavour. Whereas light lager beers will have much lower levels of ethyl acetate. This is a flavour that very much depends on tasting technique to pick it up. The best way to pick this flavour up is by covering the glass with your hand, swirling the glass around to concentrate the ethyl acetate in the headspace above the beer and below your hand. Once you've swirled around for maybe 15 seconds, you want to take a big, deep sniff. Now it's important to stick your nose right inside the glass. Let me show you again. Swirl around, nose right inside the glass and take a deep sniff. And you'll find the smell of nail varnish or a solvent characteristic. Now this is a positive character because generally when it's in the beer, it's enhancing the characteristics of other esters, such as the banana flavour from isoamyl acetate. It's making the beer seem more alcoholic, even with less ethanol there. So it's a positive character making the beer, helping to make it fruity, helping to make it more aromatic. Sometimes though it can come about due to microbiological contamination. For example, some types of wild yeasts, they're called Brettanomyces, produce ethyl acetate together with a whole range of other compounds. And in those cases, the ethyl acetate could be undesirable unless you specifically want to have these special Brettanomyces characters. Now in beers that don't have much ethyl acetate character, light lagers for example, will have only 10 milligrams per litre or maybe 15 milligrams per litre. In strong ales and barley wines, we could have 100 to 150 milligrams per litre with a much more forward ethyl acetate character. So this is a compound that varies hugely in terms of its flavour impact in beer. It can make other esters seem stronger, and the more of the ethyl acetate we have, the stronger the other esters will appear. The way to control it, for the hygiene side, keep the brewery clean, and for the fermentation side, keep a yeast strain that has a low level of production if you want a low level, and a high level of production if you want a high level, and then maintain the right fermentation profile in terms of temperature and pitching rate and all the other things you should control during fermentation. So an important positive flavour character, which can be an off flavour only when it's at the wrong concentration. Ethyl acetate.